is that some of our patients are through the out-of-network insurance benefits. So like they might have already hit their deductible and maybe their copay is like $30. So it's like, how do I charge that person 300 or 350 or whatever yesterday for today's visit? And then if they do today's visit, now it's like a credit. It's a little bit challenging depending on the insurance, like the out-of-network insurance and the cost.
All right, Dave, you said you had some listener emails. I'm going to guess these aren't anonymous.
No. Shout out to our friend of the podcast, friend of Breakfast Club, friend of the Dave Kittle Show, PT Pinecast, and Learning Medicare Billing, Dr. Eric Broadworth, physical therapy practice owner out of Grand Rapids, Michigan. And we spoke recently, and he had some questions around compensation, staffing, and expectations for staff physical therapists. Of course, I'll give my thoughts, and you guys can as well. So the biggest thing that he was asking about, or first of all, his statement was he has some physical therapists that he was asking if they have downtime between visits, because they're mostly one-on-one. They do dry needling, they do, laser and red light therapy and different things like that. But they're still predominantly self-pay. They're looking to potentially go in network with Blue Cross Blue Shield and then offer the dry needling and laser and red light therapy components as self-pay add-ons. His first sticking point or challenge, Tony, is he was asking me, do I pay my staff physical therapist for the downtime between visits? Like, let's say there's like a gap of 1 or 2 or 3 slots on the calendar between patients. And I told him, I said, for my therapist, like regardless of whether they're W-2 or 1099 independent contractors hourly, my therapists are paid on a per visit basis. So it doesn't matter if it's in the brick and mortar office in Midtown Manhattan or if it's home visits. We pay our therapist for completing that treatment visit. That was one thing. Another thing he was asking about was if you have, a cancel or no show, do you then also still pay the therapist? Because again, now it's the same slot where there's no income or there's no treatment being rendered. The patient cancels or no shows. And I said to him, yes, like we charge the patient because that's what they signed up. That's what they signed. They signed the late cancellation policy. So yes, we still charge the patient in full. And yes, we still pay the physical therapist in full. Those were the first two. Let me start with that.
So do you collect ahead of the appointment? So if somebody cancels, they lose that session? Or if they last minute cancel, do you collect after the fact?
So I know you mentioned this maybe a year or so ago. We're getting better at it. And it's actually a beautiful thing when you do charge the card like 24 hours in advance. It's a beautiful thing because if something comes up, you're like, oh yeah, no problem. Like totally understand. Like all good. Something came up, but like we already charged the card. And also we're doing a little bit more packages recently. We probably need to do a catch up episode on it because now we have, I don't know, a handful of patients that are on packages that are at different stages of the package. So then you got to follow all that and make sure like, when is everyone finished? And when, does anyone want to re-up or whatever? Same thing with the package. We had someone a week or two ago, like they had to be out of town and they already had, a visit scheduled. And one of those visits just gets removed off the package. Like it is so beautiful on the business, operation side. Like there's no resistance because then it's not a penalty. It's not the retroactive, like, oh, you canceled today or yesterday, late cancel or whatever. Now we have to charge a card or, when you already have their card charged 24 hours in advance or a package, it's already taken care of. It's beautiful. It's wonderful for the flow of things. And it's almost like there's no bad taste in anyone's mouth as opposed to when someone late cancels today or yesterday. Now we're charging them. And like you've said before, Tony, like now it does feel like a slap on the wrist, bad taste in someone's mouth, like a little bit of a negative sentiment. So we're getting into it. We're getting better at it. The challenge for us is that some of our patients are through the out-of-network insurance benefits. So like they might have already hit their deductible and maybe their copay is like $30. So it's like, how do I charge that person 300 or 350 or whatever yesterday for today's visit? And then if they do today's visit, now it's like a credit. It's a little bit challenging depending on the insurance, like the out-of-network insurance and the cost. And we're probably like 60, 70% self-pay. So we're we're majority there. We're getting there. There's just some sticking points in terms of the insurance stuff for us, but it's better than it was before.
Yeah, so I think it's fundamental to the design of the business. You know, every business has breakage, from manufacturing to restaurants to therapy services. You design the business first to deliver the experience you want, to maintain the profitability you want. If I'm looking at a therapist and they're going to cost me $120,000 a year, I have to account for $120,000 a year. And it's my responsibility as the business owner to ensure my systems are in place so that if I do have breakage, a cancellation, a no-show, somebody prematurely discharges, whatever the thing is that costs me money, I have enough cushion, enough profitability to say, I'm going to pay this person $120,000. I'm going to have my operating expenses covered, and I'm going to have a profit margin in that. You know, and I think this is where the amateur kind of falls behind and the professional business owner excels, is because they understand, like, it's not an ethical decision. It's not an emotional decision. There's zero like thought that even goes into it. This is what it is. It's very black and white. Somebody walks in my door. They have a $30 copay. You pay the $30 now. If you don't want to pay it, that's totally fine. Just leave. Like there's nothing for me to do. Yeah, I would love to give everybody, and I preface this maybe in the next segment. I asked ChatGPT to give me acronyms and words for free, FREE, because so many people are talking about healthcare should be free. We know it's not free. We know it's paid for by somebody. So we got some pretty funny acronyms that ChatGPT came up with. But bottom line is, the business has to be designed with enough profit margin in place so that it can account for, you're going to have a 7% cancellation no-show rate on the year. You have to account for that. That's money lost. There's nothing you can do about it. Now, if you want to get into, okay, so then what does the therapist do during that time you're paying them and they're not producing revenue? That's the next phase of this conversation. But Jimmy, what are your thoughts on this?
This is unique to me. I mean, I've only worked in environments where you got paid salary. So you got paid to show up at a certain time, and you got paid to, this is both clinical and non-clinical before I was a physical therapist. So to me, it seems, I guess it would be hard. It would be harder, but better to align goals. I don't know. Like, if I only got paid when there was a treatment, and I'm just so I'm going to show up at 9 a.m. and leave at 5 p.m. and I only got paid some of those hours. But then I was told, like, well, the more you work and help us on marketing, it'll come down. And that feels like trickle down economics to me. It's like, it's not my boat.
So I'm so glad you mentioned salary and that whole situation. Okay, so the one thing that Eric Broadworth about the mailbag questions, we got another one from him, is that he asked specifically about that. We were talking exactly what you just said, Jimmy. So he would show, and listen, I do this as well. My friend, Dr. Christian Marshall, Tribeca Physical Therapy, he does it as well with a spreadsheet. He shows the therapist, like, okay, so here's the spreadsheet. You have options. Sometimes it's like 2 options, maybe 3 options in terms of, like, do you want a salary like here? Or do you want like pay per visit where you could actually make more? Eric yesterday on the phone said, I show my therapist a spreadsheet and here's your, he didn't say what number, but he said, if you take the salary is here, and that's all you can make in the full year. Obviously there's no risk, like it's guaranteed, but then there's no upside, right? So he shows them, he's like, or you could make, like, I think he said like 33% of revenue that you treat, right? So he's like, if you chose this, and based off of the other flow of patients from our other therapists that have treated patients over the past year or two, he's like, you can make 6 figures with the pay per visit, but they still choose the salary, and the salary annually, Jimmy, is lower. Now, of course, I know this one has like no risk. This is like an NFL guaranteed contract. And this is kind of like, a little bit of like the bonus play, a little bit more, maybe there's some risk. And so I told Eric, I'm like, Eric, this is something that I never understood either. I needed Sturdy McKay to tell me. I needed a sage, a guide, a mentor to give me some information on this. And what Sturdy told me, and I think we've talked about it before, he said, physical therapy as a profession, and also, physicians and nurses and all that, the people that are attracted to healthcare are folks that don't want risk. They want this guaranteed salary. Sturdy gave me an example of like some friend that's a physician in San Francisco, and they were choosing like a, I don't know, like a $250,000 or a $300,000 salary. But if it was the pay per visit or the pay, the revenue share or whatever, the physician could have made like $750,000, but they still chose the fixed salary, even though they know based off their production and like their normal work habits, like they're going to do XYZ, like their flow and all that. So yes, the therapist or the clinician has to know or trust what's the inflow of leads and marketing and what, like how busy can you get me and how busy can I stay and all that. Yes, of course, that's part of it.
I don't think it's PTs are risk averse. I think people who are risk averse and people who aren't. Because I was in communications and marketing for 15, close to 20 years. And there were salespeople who were like, all I do is make money on what I sell. I might go 2 months without selling, but when I hit big. I wouldn't be able to sleep at night. Not going to happen. Like I wouldn't be able to do it. But knowing the only thing that they were able to sell was the thing I created every single day was fine with me. As long as it's hard to be creative when you don't know when the bottom of Maslow's hierarchy of needs is going to come. Some people are okay with that. Some people aren't. I don't think it's as broad as a profession. I think some people are okay with that. And more often than not, those people say, I don't want to just do this. I want to open a business. So I see what you're saying here, Ben. It's like I disagree, but I respectfully disagree. I don't think PTs are risk averse as a whole. I think most people are risk averse as a whole.
Yeah, I could say most people are risk averse. I could say the profession of PT does attract a larger percentage of those people. I've said this for 25 years that I've run a business. I still to this day don't think that I have ever really employed somebody who is purely motivated by money. And I'm sure, Jimmy, like you're probably one of these people that whether you got paid $20,000 a year or $120,000 a year, once you agree on a salary, you're going to put 120% effort into everything you do. Yeah. And the irony in this is, like, I've never been able to incentivize somebody to do more.
Yeah.
I would even say a handful of people, they feel good getting paid less because it makes them feel like they're a martyr, they're suffering, they're working so hard, they're killing themselves, they're thinking about their patients every minute of every day, and they're getting paid less than they think that they deserve. So it's like, that is the reward in and of itself. It's like we have patients that come in and want to hurt because they feel like that pain in the experience is making them better, making them stronger. It's what they're coming here for. So it's completely, it goes back to, we do things, we're emotional creatures, we're driven by fears and desires and anxiety and all that kind of stuff. But that being said, there's a fundamental question of why are you here? Why do you want to work with me? What are your objectives? This business is a platform for your growth and success. Do you just want to be here for 20 years? Do you want a stable income, not have to worry, not have to think? Okay, you're going to pay a premium. You're going to get paid less than somebody else who wants to come in, use this as a training platform because they're going to eventually want their own business. You're going to earn more, but you're going to also make me a lot more money. And even if I only get that person for 2 years and the other person for 20 years, there's different value exchanges on both sides.
Good. Let me pitch both of you the middle ground, potential solution. So potential solution for this conversation, potential solution for Eric Broadworth, since he watches the show, he was giving us feedback and asked some questions and wanted to provide him some value here publicly. So the one thing that I'm actually working on right now, and I've had help from Sturdy McKay, and I've actually helped from ChatGPT as well, which is like, what would be the middle ground? So it's kind of like a base salary and then additional paid for performance based off of what the therapist is treating per month and per quarter. And the challenge that I'm at right now, so like hypothetically, I kind of just threw a dart at the board. Eric, this will be different for you. But for me, I started with a $90,000 salary and then the performance pay on top of that. So right now, and this is not live with any therapist, but this is what I'm working on behind the scenes. It's kind of like the 87,000 to 90,000 as the fixed rate guaranteed salary, which if you, that's like treating for us, that's like treating like 3 patients a day at 3.5. Like it's totally doable. I could do it in a coma. Like it's just totally possible. But of course there does, for at least for my model, there does need to be the incentive to go above 6 figures, because you as the therapist are treating patients, you're booking patients, you're trying to, evaluate and activate the spouse or the, other people in the building. You're trying to meet other people, all that type of stuff. So there is a little bit of extra, I don't want to say work, but there is upside. And I ran some scenarios and some projections. And if a therapist with us is treating 5 patients a day over 6 months, obviously, you got to build in some variability. A therapist in my model could make somewhere between 144,000 to 177,000, depending on the variability of how often can they maintain a 20 to 25 visit per week schedule. So it'd be like 5 a day, Monday through Friday. That accounts, by the way, these numbers account for taking, PTO away, the 8 whatever national holidays, some sick days, all that type of stuff. So it's based off of like 237 workable business days per year. And even that model, that pitch, it's only going to attract some gamers. It's not going to attract someone that just like wants whatever salary and like knows that they don't have to like work that hard. They can just go into some office and just kind of like punch a ticket, punch a clock. So that's kind of where I'm at. I don't know if that gives Eric any clarity, but do you guys have any feedback on that?
I'm going to go the other way, because just as we spent time saying, you have to understand the psychology of the individual who's coming on board, you also have to understand the psychology of the owner. If we're talking smaller private practice, something like me or Eric or anything like that, I've done I've done it all, right? I've had like bonuses, I've hit metrics. I said, look, you do this, you do that, you earn this much. We've also done just a straight profit share. We're like, look, here's our operating cost. We've been in business 15 years at this point. Here's the operating cost. This is what we expect. This is what we've done over the last 3 years. You increase revenue above this, we'll give you a percentage of the increase in revenue. The problem with all of that stuff is it also has to match my personality. I don't want to track all that crap. I don't want a carrot on a stick. I don't want to bribe you. I don't incent you. I want to work with a professional. If you're going to act like a professional, here's the deal. Standard salary is this. I'm willing to just take the hit. I know you're going to overproduce. I'll pay you 20% above standard salary. But if you don't perform to what you agree to, what you say you're going to do, we got to let you go. Like, again, objective, black and white. I'm not going to, because once you get into some of that stuff like profit sharing, you're like, okay, well, what happens if elections get delayed? Like, I want the ability sometimes in November to hold all of my Medicare claims and not submit them until January if I want to defer compensation or income to the next calendar year for tax reasons. There are times in January where I want to hold submitting claims to insurance companies so that deductibles are met by other providers. There are very specific things I want to do within my business to manage the cash flow that would negatively impact an employee. And now you're just getting into all of these games that, for my personality, I don't want to play. So I would just rather say, look, I know there's going to be cancellations, no-shows, breakage. I know I'm going to lose money in some cases, but I better make my money in other cases. This is what I'm willing to pay you. This is the time I'm willing to commit to paying you that money. And if you perform, awesome. Like, it's going to work out great for both of us. You're going to make a profit. I'm going to make a profit. But if not, no big deal. Let's just go separate ways. Jimmy, you've been in these situations.
Yeah, for me, I watched. I can only speak from my experience, right? I want to like reach outside of what I've seen. Most people that I've worked with were aware of like their bonus structure, but they weren't driven by it, with the exception of salespeople. And those people were a different breed. I remember being friends with some of the salespeople outside of work, and looking at them and thinking, I have no idea how you go to bed at night, not knowing if you're going to be able to pay your bills. And they were totally 100% okay with it. And then I watched the people that I worked with, the people who needed to have that sort of security, go above and beyond and kill themselves. In communications and radio, it wasn't obviously for patients because we didn't have any. For me, it was all like, I want to make sure that someone in a year looks at the list of people on the team and goes, well, we can't cut him because he plays 5 positions and he runs out infield ground balls. Like for me, it was always about making sure you were on the team and you were still, in the world of musical chairs. When they pulled a chair away, you were still having a share when the music stopped. So I think you have to find someone's personal drivers. Like what drives you? We did an entire 2-year-long campaign at Fox Rehabilitation when I was there that circled around this very theory. Somebody was looking at with spreadsheets, how do we find people and keep them? And they hired these outside consulting firms. And it came down to 3 things. Do you want to know what those things are? But it's a little bit of a tangent, but it's sort of not.
Make your own schedule, fixed salary.
No. So these were like a little more like feely, like internal drivers, 3 C's. But the things that you're saying, Dave, could go into that. So what I'm saying is like these things were like broader terms. So the 3 things were craft, cause, community.
And I was going to say community. I should have
said unpack these. So you can look at a PT specifically, or pretty much anybody. Like this applies to everybody. And you say like, well, I'm there for a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Yes, you have all. But there needs to be one main driver that when you touch on, the person goes, yes, I want to work there. If I'm in a room of 20 different employers at a career fair and you hit on this, I'm going to go, you get me. But you can't have 20 of those things. You have to have like 3, and then you can have 3 campaigns that go. So craft, cause, and community were the thing. Craft was like, I am going to be the best. I am here to be the best physical therapist, whatever that means to me, autonomously. I am here to be a PT, and then nothing else matters, right? Like, yes, my coworkers are nice. I like community, but like I am here to take Con Ed courses. I eat, sleep, breathe, and everything is about my craft. I want to be the best PT. On my tombstone, greatest PT ever. That's craft. Cause, this is pretty big. This is, I want to help people. At Fox, it was specifically like, what are we on this giant aircraft carrier or this big boat? What I'm doing my little part to be the best craftsman, but I want to know I'm on the right boat so that every little paddle that I do feels like it does. At Fox, it really was, they were smart enough to give it a name. It wasn't just help everybody. It's too big. That's throwing a single dollar bill in a silo. It's too big. It was to eradicate ageism. It was like older adults deserve better. I'm giving you better care, and I'm always talking about it. So if you're Stephen Miller, story brand, Donald Miller, you had to give the villain a name. It was ageism. So that was cause. And then community is like, dude, I want to be around cool people who are dope, and like, you're cool and you're good and you're cool. You're a little more here for the fun, but I like you. So who do I do it with? And again, if you had a Venn diagram with all 3 of those, of course, you're like, yeah, I want a little bit of this, I want a little bit of this, I want a salt bay of this. You want all 3 of those things, but one was the main driver, and they tried to find what that was, because they realized, and Fox is in, I don't know, a billion states. They realized bonuses and signing bonuses and flexible and autonomy, like those are table stakes. I need you to pay me enough. Adam Grant talks about this a lot. I need you to pay me enough. What is that? I don't know. Like you need to figure out what your numbers are and know that there's my basement. You can't go below it, right? If you really want this guy, because, oh man, he's the glue guy. What's the glue guy? It's the guy who plays 3 different positions, or when he walks in the room, everybody gets excited, right? There's my basement. If I really want this guy, because I understand my team, my small unit, I need this guy. I'm willing to go a little more. Am I going to incentivize them for bonuses? Sure. All those things are table stakes. Fox was able to do it. I mean, there was one girl who lived in New York City, and she had family overseas. So she'd work, essentially, she'd book her own schedule. She'd work nonstop for like 3 weeks, and then she'd go to like Greece. She'd go to Greece. She was like 24 years old, and she's like, yeah, I'm going to go to Greece for 2 weeks. How are you pulling out? She goes, I bank units for like a month and a half. Fox doesn't care. Yes, they do. They care that you did that. And then they go to Greece. We want you to go to Greece because we want you to come back and work for 4 more weeks straight. So find what the whole campaign, again, and I'll wrap it up here, I promise. I'm just not going to go on a tangent forever, was what drives you? Like, what do you want to do? Like, what's your thing? And it was nice because it was like, I don't care what you do. You're going to come through one of these 3 doors. And when you get there, we understand that that's what drives you. Yes, we have that. It wasn't a shock.
Love that. So the real quick with that. So I love all that. It's fascinating that because you were at Fox and now you're not there anymore, you're able to kind of relay that whole thing. Like even that's special because they kind of plug that into you potentially, like in a way.
Well,
and then you're able to relay.
I helped craft it.
You help create it, craft it. Yeah. So what's interesting is you didn't mention anything about, dollar amount, salary, hourly, whatever. The one thing that my observation at Fox, though, so the opposite of that young physical therapist that was banking units, there is some quota. And if a therapist does not hit a quota, then, and if Fox is not giving them enough new patient referrals or whatever in a certain zip code that they're working in, don't they get that quota, some dollar amount deducted from the next paycheck and the next paycheck if they're not hitting enough units per pay period or whatever?
I don't know. I'm not trying to dodge the question. Maybe. I will tell you this though. They did a gajillion.
I'm pretty sure. I don't know, but I'm like almost positive it would be deducted from the next pay period.
Could be. The same would be if you ran out of So what I would say is that probably is it. I wasn't on the clinical side there. I would say this though. They did a ton of research before they ever opened a team in an area. They were like, do we have more than enough ways to get paid? I mean, they're working with older adults. Like, it's like, it's
or everywhere.
Do we have enough water? We're in the Atlantic Ocean. Yes. Okay, good. Got it. Now what do we need? Boats. I don't know. Like, so they understood they had more than enough of that. That's not always the case though. I see what you're saying. So you don't always have, if you're an orthopedic, if you're a sports clinic, you don't always have enough athletes in an area, or maybe you have competition. But I mean, Fox is a logistics company that happened to put their logistics and their strategy towards treating older adults. I mean, they understood that's sort of what you need to be. You need to be a media company that knows how to do logistics. And what are you putting it towards? Treating older adults. Instead of, like Tony said this, I'm a PT clinic. Athelis, who I work for, everybody's like, oh, they're a healthcare technology company. They're a technology company that saw enough big, hairy, scary, annoying problems in healthcare that were worth enough to put towards the effort. But they're going to work really hard because they're like, there's enough problems here and we're super good at this. Instead of, I have a bleeding heart, let me learn how to become it's the Armageddon question. Do you want to treat bleeding heart, or do you want to teach bleeding hearts how to become business owners, or teach business, or let business owners run businesses that employ bleeding hearts? Do that. Do you want to teach astronauts how to oil drill, or oil drillers how to be astronauts? I mean, which one's easier? It's actually, it's the opposite of the movie Armageddon. We'd like to be here to teach the astronauts how to be oil drillers. But of course, don't ask Bruce Willis that, because I'm the best, because I work with the best. But what job are you in? Tony said this before, and I didn't agree with him at first 2 years ago or 3 years ago when he said it. Was like, you shouldn't be a business owner and treating in your clinic. Like, you should be painting yourself out of the house, right? Did I make that analogy or that metaphor up? Probably, but I probably pictured that when Tony was saying
that is the best way to go in terms of a practice owner. Yeah,
it's too hard.
All right. So any final recap on? I think we hit everything with the listener questions.
Was there another question though?
That was the biggest thing of, are you paying therapists, in the downtime? So it kind of ties into like, if they're salary, then yes, you're kind of like, you're basically paying them whenever there's downtime, and there should be something maybe written into their, employment agreement that like, if they have no shows and cancels and there's like dead time, they need to be, posting social media videos or doing something else.
But then the reverse is true, right? If you say you have to see 6 patients a day and you're like, hey man, I got 8, can you do it? There's a structure in place that says, if you're doing more than you're being asked, I'm going to pay you X percentage of over, right? Like what Ben was saying with like.
Yeah, could be. I mean, my second job, but first job in Brooklyn, I was hired to be a clinic director. And there was something around maybe the ego of that or whatever. Like we looked at every, I was there for 2 years or something as the clinic director. And I'm the clinic director with these other roles and responsibilities. Yes, I was probably getting paid more than the other staff physical therapists because that's what I signed up for. And I always had the most visits completed. Like every month, every quarter, like I was treating more patients. So, but I didn't say to my employer, I didn't turn to them. I didn't say to Ed Mears, like, hey, what's the performance pay? Like, 6 patients were on my schedule, but now you want me to see 8 or, 10 or 12 are on my schedule, but I saw 15 or whatever. Like, I didn't ask for that. Again, I'm built differently maybe, and I'm different than a lot of the staff therapists out there, but it depends. I don't know. What do you think, Tony? Are we at the point where there's a lot of staff physical therapists that are like, I signed up for 6 visits a day. Now you want me to see 8 and, you got to pay me extra for that or what? What, Jimmy?
There's research around this. Like, and I'll find it when Tony starts talking, but the research around this is they taught monkeys fairness. They gave monkeys bananas, or I'll find the actual study, right? And then they all of a sudden, one monkey, everybody was getting a cut of banana. Everybody was like, this is great. And then one monkey got a banana plus a grape. Do you know what happened? Like, you didn't get less bananas, but they went ape. They went aft yet. They lost their monkey minds. That doesn't make any sense. Like, I'm not feeling anything. They're like fleeing poop. I don't know. I'll get to study. But fairness, you're constantly doing the math. And it doesn't need your, I don't think that there's an exact like tipping point, but there's a range where you're like, dude, there's the dishwashing theory or the dish breaking theory, which is like, if you don't want to wash dishes, break a bunch. And then you're like, you're costing us more money. And then you sweep the floor. And like that rewards the person who's a jackass. And then people like me are like, oh, I'm good I'll just wash the dishes. People who are good, and there's research on this. I listen to a lot of Adam Grant. People who are good at their jobs get rewarded with more work at their jobs. And
this is why the interview process on the front end is so vitally important to kind of screen in and out, screen in the right fit, screen out the wrong fit based off of. Well, and there's a trial period, right? So like, the first 2-3 months or whatever should be a trial period where it's in writing, like, hey, whether it's part-time or full-time, like we're literally giving this a go. Like, let's, in whatever, 60 days, 90 days, whatever it is, this is a trial period. This is an introductory period. And let's see, in the working world now, are you an actual right fit? Do you like our feedback, our support, all that, our guidance, mentorship?
Right. On both ends, you have no idea until the sheen is worn off, until it's like become a job. Let me ask you this. Right. I don't want to backtrack, but I do like backtracking. If you were to answer, each of you can only pick one of the 3. Which are your main drivers? Craft, cause, or community for each of you? Well, as I was describing those, which ones of those for you like popped up? So I'll give you a review. Craft, again, is like, if you're a clinic director, you're like, I am a clinic director. I am going to know my KPIs. I'm going to be able to do like work with people. I'm going to like everything a clinic director did, or a clinician. I am a clinician. I am a technician. I am the person who's great at this. Cause, the bigot, like the organization. I'm here because I want to do my part no matter what it is. Like the guy who said, who asked the janitor at NASA, what are you doing? What do you do here? I help put people on the moon. That dude was there for cause, right? And then community is like, dude, I love these people. I don't care what we do. We might make widgets, we might make nuclear bombs, but I love the people that we do it with, and I wouldn't want to do it anywhere else. I know there's probably secondary and tertiary drivers, but I'm interested. What are your primary drivers?
Cool. This is tough. I like having to answer this on the fly on the hot spot or on the hot seat. My initial response is I have some therapists that are on the community, kind of like, I have therapists that are like, I love working with Concierge Pain Relief because I love your clientele. I love the clientele because they're motivated. They're okay. Like some visits, like they just talk for the whole hour. Like they don't even do any movement, or maybe they just walk and, yeah, and they still get paid and we get paid. It's crazy. It's bonkers. So I have some therapists that are like, I love your clientele. They're motivated. They're better than these other Medicare or Medicaid based, agencies that I've worked for before that are cursing at us and saying, get out. And I didn't request home physical therapy. But then I also have other therapists that are the craft that are like, I want to be like, I want to bring like the, the Swiss Army knife toolbox into someone's home. And no matter what they need, maybe they need breathing work. Maybe they need, counseling on rest and hydration and, recovery and sleep and that type of stuff. And then others want, certain manual therapy approaches, and others want empowerment and an exercise program or whatever. And like my style, like our offering is like, there is a little bit of diversity around the motivated person that likes our offering. And the therapists that work with us, that stay the longest, that stay the last couple of years, they're the ones, there's many of them that are more of like the craft. Like you don't know, like they walk into whatever in someone's home, like they don't know what they're walking into, and they can solve it. They can figure it out. They're going to offer reassurance. They're going to offer some type of treatment, whatever the person is seeking, and almost starting the visit and starting the evaluations of like, hey, what are your expectations for today's evaluation? What are your expectations today for the first or second follow-up visit? Like pulling those things out, and whatever the person is looking for, how can we match them meet them where they're at? So I don't know if that, like, I'm kind of like stuck in between those two, and I do have a coaching call with Sturdy tomorrow. So I'm gonna have to bring this up to him and ask, what do you think of this? So I don't know. What do you think, Tony? What do you have with you, your team, with those three?
It definitely changes, right? It evolves, like all of us. Like I can remember when it was, for me, craft took precedence over everything. I was obsessed with reading research, studying, like looking up different conditions, trying to figure out how to solve the problems. I'd go to sleep thinking about patient care. I'd wake up thinking about patient care. Then it kind of shifted to bigger picture cause. I was like, hey, let's build this business. Let's make this business about helping the community and keeping geriatrics independent and safe and all this stuff. No, I'd probably say it's community, like really. And funny thing is,
for you.
It's a community of three. It's my wife, my physical therapist assistant, and me. I don't want the community to grow. I don't want to bring anyone else into the community.
Yeah.
Like it's literally, we enjoy each other's time. We enjoy what we're doing. We're good enough at what we do. We're all on the same page. So my priority or focus over the last couple of years is definitely the people that make the community. And, to a certain degree, the patients are part of that community. They're coming in, they're socializing, they're talking. The funny thing is, Jeremy Sutton's on here. He said, choose the fourth C, cash. The last person I would ever think is going to say cash first.
I'm really bringing him along in terms of the monetary component of all this.
Well, that's where I would say, like Jeremy, if like Jeremy were like, trying to work for me, I'd be like, I need to pay you enough that money's not a barrier. Now, that doesn't mean like triple the average salary for a person to get them on board. It means like that I want that person thinking about me and not having a side hustle, or working with me will lead to something where you can eliminate a side hustle. Same for me, Tony. It was definitely craft when I first started, my career. It was definitely like, I want to be the best at this. Then it was in the middle, like definitely community, where I was like, I just want to like coming to work. I care what I'm doing and I'll get better at it. But if I don't have these people around me that I like doing it with, I'm not going to do anything. And for me, cause was always an underlying thing. I need there to be a cause and I need to like it, but I didn't walk through the door like seeking a cause. Like example, like I did a bunch of like fundraising and charity work for the American Red Cross, for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society while I was in radio and after. I didn't really have a connection to either of those, but I was like, I'm glad you do good work. How do I help? If I can do my part and I can just do funny radio stuff and then you make money to help people, great. Like that was a good way for me to interact. So that was my craft cause community. All right, we got 20 minutes left. What are we talking about next? What's the pivot?
Dave, you shared something I thought was interesting. The New York running boom. Almost
a lot of money.
$1 billion local economy.
Yeah, I don't understand it. I didn't really look into it, but I guess if you put together all the people that pay for races and what they pay for shoes and clothing and all this, expensive like Lululemon and Aloe.
Yeah.
I don't know what total dollar amount, like all of like the races and the half marathons and the full marathons. I don't know where they got to $1 billion, how they got to that number, but yeah, I mean, I mean, I don't know. Running has always been big in most cities, and especially in New York City.
Yeah, but it wasn't a thing like in the, I don't know, 60. I remember my uncle told me he ran like the 4th New York City. No, he couldn't have. He ran one of the first marathons, and it was like, people looked at him like he was going to go to the center of the earth. Like, you're going to do a what? Now it's like doing a marathon. Like, I don't know, good luck this weekend. Like, it's not even a thing. When I did it, it was sort of like my first one was like, that's kind of an endeavor. Now it's like people looking at each other going, hey, have fun this weekend. Go knock it out. It's become more commonplace.
Which is good.
And I'm very good buddy. He is in charge of bringing big athletic events like that to like the Cincinnati and surrounding areas. I don't remember if he's part of the tourism board or whatever, but when you look at that, those events, I mean, you've got the event itself, then you've got all the buildup, you've got the hotels, you've got the restaurants, you've got, you know, the clothes and merch and everything that surrounds it. I mean, it is amazing. And to think about where physical therapy as a profession or individual therapist can kind of step into that role. I just went up to a cross country meet. My 16-year-old, he runs cross country. You had to buy the tickets online. They filled up the entire parking lot and started diverting traffic. But everywhere along the course, there were Fleet Feet like flags flying. They were a major sponsor of the event. They were there on site. They were doing their digital scans. Like, they did all of this kind of stuff. I generally find that most therapists who go and set up a booth at those events, it doesn't work for us. Like, we're not going to do anything with that. But if you're deep in that community and you're making connections, especially at the level of, hey, we're going to bring a $3 million event to the city. Now you want to see referrals start pouring in. You want to get orthopedics who want to specialize in athletic injuries reaching out to you. Like, that's where the real value is in something like this. You can't think too small. You can't set up a massage table to rub calves. You have to get in at the levels.
How would you hire someone for that job? Would that be more of a salary position to create an event like that might be 5 years away? Or would you make that a commission based?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's you. You're the person you'd hire for that job. It would be salary. It'd be, what do you need, Jimmy, to have peace of mind to know that you can focus on this full time?
For 5.
You give me the number, and then I have to know based on other experiences if I can turn that number into a profit.
Correct.
You know, and that's the way you do it, and you can't think twice about it. That's why VC funded ventures are so common. Like, I was just talking to somebody who has VC funding behind them, and they're like, look, we don't care about the money. The investors expect to lose all the money. The $500,000 doesn't mean anything to them. They put that out there across hundreds and hundreds of businesses. We just need growth, and we need people who are going to bring the growth. And 1 in 1,000 will succeed. And that 1 in 1,000 will blow the doors off of everybody else and will make the profit. That, I'm going to say, that's kind of where we are on a smaller scale in our business. We have to be able to hire 5 therapists knowing 4 are going to lose us money because 1 is going to make 20 times the income.
But that's not possible, right? Because of the current state we're in, right? One person can't.
It's not possible the way it's been done,
right?
Bootstrapped and thinking that you have to turn every billable minute into a profit.
Correct.
But that's why VCs are coming in and buying up clinics and private practices and consolidating and doing all that, because they are taking advantage in a good way of the inefficiencies of somebody who is like, man, I love physical therapy and I love patient care and I'm willing to lose $300 building this foundation. And then they're going to come in, buy it for pennies on the dollar because it's not worth anything anyway. You're losing money for 3 years, and turn it into something that's actually profitable, something patients are willing to pay for, something that actually gets positive outcomes and is profitable.
It's also wild when you look at, like, and I've barely dabbled. I'm trying to make sure people don't think I'm trying to talk outside of my boots here. It's amazing when you look across like VC portfolios and they're like, I'm dabbling in industries that cross over. It's like, hey, I own, like when you're listening to Shark Tank and Cuban's trying to buy this company. And he's like, I own 3 companies that do the thing that you pay $2 a unit for. I'll get the cost down to 30 cents a unit. It's like, oh, I didn't think about that. Like, you own companies. You're not just a bag of money. You get Mark Cuban's Rolodex plus his infrastructure plus his supply. And you're like, that's when you start thinking in 3D. And you're like, oh gosh, I never thought. I just thought you buy a company and you paint it and you get the logo a little better and you get 10%. But no, these, people who are investors are thinking 6 dimensions deep. Like, oh no, I know the guy that can do, I know the guy who owns that company who's giving you that thing for $2 a unit. You're getting screwed. I'm going to get that cost down to 40 cents a unit. And then your margins are going to go like this. Then we're going to take the money and we're going to roll into this. So it would have taken you 10 years. It's going to take you 2. And then we're going to exit in 5. Like, it's wild. This is a whole new world for me because I was always a guy just rowing a boat.
Well, you see the same thing on the patient care side. Like, you go to Dave, I tell Dave, man, my back is killing me. He does an evaluation. He's going to understand 6 layers deep. It could be this, it could be that, it could be, 5 different conditions. It could even be referred from somewhere else, whatever, because he's an expert in patient care and he understands how to do that. But you take that therapist who knows that much about patient care, they don't know enough about business. So they think, like Jimmy, it's a business. I run it for profit. This is what I do. Like, it's so much more complex.
But this is where Tony comes in and goes, you're that person who's the diehard craft person we talked about. All you care about is making the patient better. And you were going to suggest these sneakers because they want to run the marathon in 7 months. And you don't get anything for that. You don't get that affiliate. Like, that to me is like, well, it would be disingenuous. No, you were going to suggest that anyway. You just told me you're the craft person, but you can't build a business on that. I mean, Tony, I think you shared a graphic the other day that was like an image of somebody doing a workout in a gym, and you had highlighted, you like circled like 9 things. Yeah. It was like one of those pictures. It's like spot the differences, like 9 things. It was like, why aren't there links to all these different things that you are promoting? You're wearing the Lululemon shirt, you're using the Biodex thing, and you're wearing the da-da-da sneaker. I know it feels, if you're the craft person, that's selling out. And I think that maybe people will actually think twice about what they share in a video in a good way to say, oh, everything I'm doing, someone is paying really close attention to. Maybe I should only do the things that I 100% believe. Good. Think that way. But if you honestly believe that, that is of value because people pay for that every single day and people would follow your insight. And if that's what you want to get paid for, you have to give them a pathway. And if you're not, that's on you.
Dave was on a roll. He shared another one, and we'll use this to close out the show. Penn State's charging $10,000 for a full season access. Unique fan experience. Yes. Filler out cash practices. Go ahead.
Yeah. So the reason why this is interesting is because Penn State and many other universities are doing this specifically because they believe, whether right or wrong, they believe that they are losing money because of that whole landmark settlement around name, image, and likeness, the whole NIL thing. And now that players are making money and able to get sponsorships on the table, they used to be cash, in a duffel bag under the table. And all of a sudden the player's mom has a new house or whatever, or a new car because of the whole NIL situation. These universities, including Penn State, they're like, hey, we're losing the previous revenue that we used to have. And where are they going? Where are they going? They're going to the consumer. They're going to the fan, the end consumer. And they're charging some outrageous, 10 grand. I don't know if that, I guess that's for all the home games. So what's that, like 8 or something home games or whatever? Yeah. Maybe a playoff game, maybe one of the playoff games or bowl games. But they get, unlimited team exposure. There's like, private, they remove certain vendor stands and they added, different unique fan experiences where the fans can kind of be behind like a partition, but they can high five the players as they're like coming, before they get out of the tunnel, like in, underneath the bleachers and different things like that. So the universities are like, hey, how else can we make money? We've been having this like amazing funnel of money for years and decades. And let's offer this new thing at some outrageous dollar amount. And the parallel is like same thing. Like there's patients that are paying out of pocket for physical therapy when they already have Medicare coverage or they have in-network insurance. And it's just it's going to be a segment or a subset of the fans out there that are going to pay Penn State, the ones that have the money or that are obsessed fans. They're going to find the money to do it. If you're a really big fan, just like some of our patients and clients that find the money or have the money to pay for what we do. And we're very, it's different than what else is out there.
If you want to figure that out, pay attention to when the interns show up. So we did that in radio. When we had bands in the studio, interns showed up when they weren't scheduled because they were like, can I just like stand here I'm allowed to be in this building. Can I just hover in the corner? Right. So this was like a big deal. Somebody was trying to get elected in the state of New York, and he put a real case together where it was illegal to do what's called pay for play. A record company couldn't give Jimmy a bag of money, and then all of a sudden I start playing the new whatever song. That should be illegal. And the reason was, well, it's a private business. Who cares? I'm using public airwaves. So that's where the government got involved, right? So you couldn't do that. But I started paying attention to like, oh, so this is of value because when we play it, you make money on it. So as long as I'm playing it and doing things on the up and up, it's fine. So I started looking at when the interns were showing up, and we started figuring out different ways to make it cooler. We didn't monetize it as much. We just made the interactions cooler. So instead of just having a band in the small studio, I took an old filing cabinet room, emptied the room out, put a small stage in there, and now I could have 40 people in the studio when the band was in and not 8. And then we were able to do a giveaway for a month for tickets to that thing. And then I took it out of the building altogether. The band was already going to come play 6 songs acoustic in studio. I was like, we're going to do it at we're going to do it at a bar down the street, but we're going to give people less than 24 hours notice to come. And we're going to send them a text message 24 hours before the thing. And you've got to be signed up for our text. So it was like, find the thing, right? Is someone really, really, is there a Penn State fan that really wants to look what they do in European football, soccer kids. There's always a kid that walks out with the professionals and they hold hands. I don't really understand it, but like, you don't think that either was a contest or someone paid for it, or there's a relationship between that club and there absolutely is. Why? Because it costs them freaking zero. What's it cost them in Madison Square Garden when the Rangers walk out? They walk out in a hallway that like you can stand in that's like completely glassed in. Cost them zero. But if you're the stockbroker whose kids are super big Ranger fans, and now you can just think, can I take a selfie doing it? Yes. Charge for it. Can I take a selfie doing it? Yes. Cameron, payola. It was the big payola skate. It was the big payola push. Somebody was trying to get elected hard and was like, you know who the biggest scoundrels? I'm not saying it was good. It wasn't good. You know the biggest people, scourges on society are? Radio station program directors. Like, think about, all right, it was illegal, but I don't know. I think there was bigger fish to fry.
I love it. We've talked about it 100 times. Here's 101. Coming into the clinic this morning, I'm talking to ChatGPT. Hey, what are some like timely topics for PT Breakfast Club? And one of them was letting patients self-pay as an option to reduce wait times, increase access. And I just go back to, I'm like, I don't understand. Even we on our website, and I just checked because I had forgotten about this. Even we on our website have a $250 self-pay one visit option. And it's like, look, if you just need a quick eval, pay the $250, come on in. We don't sell them, but they're there. They're marketed. We put it out publicly to the world. And like, we know there's a shortage of staff. We know there's wait lists. We know there's all these problems going on, and therapists aren't generating enough profitability to stay in business. What is the harm in just putting it out there? Penn State's doing a $10,000 offer. Why not just put out on the website, hey, exclusive offer, 5 available, $500 one-time session. This is what we do. Boom, 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 boom. These are the benefits to it. No waits, same day appointments, whatever. Like, I would literally cancel an appointment for somebody else, call me evil, to book an appointment for a $500 self-pay session if they called and wanted to get in today. And the reality is, if I didn't make that sacrifice, I wouldn't be able to stay in business if I'm losing money every year.
I mean, go to Disney. You could buy a fast pass.
Yeah,
like,
same thing.
Dude, how screwed up is that? You can use money to skip a line. Yeah. Go to a baseball game, football game, comes with parking passes. You're selling the thing that, where would the interns show up? I can park here, right? Because this is cool, right? Where are they trying to like sort of, I can skip the line, right? Like charge for that because people are doing the math in their head. Is this worth it? Oh, dude, I've stood in a line. Dude, it sucks. In Florida, in July, in the humidity, I'd pay for, oh, really? You'd pay for that? Really? They pass the eyebrow test. They go, oh, you'd pay for that? Charge for that. People will pay for it.
And also at every sporting event, the closer you sit to the action, the more you pay, right? So if you're courtside, if you're sitting, behind home plate, at any game, the closer you are to the action, you typically pay more unless you got invited by, a friend or something that had tickets. But the closer you sit, the more you pay. The further away you are, the less you pay. Same type of thing.
Front of the plane, bigger seats, board first, baggage fee, or, just think. But what Tony said there, the magic F word that Tony talked about there, or sorry, not the F word, you avoided the F word, was benefits and not features.
Right.
So I'll do my parting shot first. Here's my parting shot. I've said this 100 times in front of physical therapists, researchers, and academics. You have to understand the difference between features and benefits. So if there's going to be one hill that I'm going to die on, this is one of them. I have a Jeep. It is red. It's 4-wheel drive, and it's got a top that comes off. Those are all features of my Jeep. I know that PTs want to, we would love to evidence-based, and I'm going to talk about features all day. Nobody cares. They think they do. They logic their way back into caring, but they want the benefits. It's red. When I pull into a parking lot, everybody pays attention. That's the benefit of having a red Jeep. It's 4-wheel drive. Do you think an upstate New York snowstorm ever keeps me in my house? Absolutely not. That's the benefit of 4-wheel drive. 4 doors. Dude, I never leave a friend behind. The party's always in my Jeep. The top comes off. I can go from covered to wind in my hair in 90 seconds or less. That's the benefit. Talk about benefits and you'll never go hungry.
All right. I just had it, but I lost it. Dave, what do you got?
I'll go. Yeah. So going back to the whole employer and team member employee situation, just going back to being on the same page, both sides, and it's always a challenge, both sides, it would be great if we can all just say, hey, this is what we're looking for. This is what we're seeking. This is what we want. What do you want? What do you want out of this? What are the things that will allow you to do a great job? What is the support? What is the mentorship? What is the compensation? Is it annual? Is it salary? Is it some performance pay? What is it that you're searching for? Or maybe you already have your hiring process dialed in and you're kind of like, this is the offer, kind of like what's on Tony's website. This is the offer. Take it or leave it. Either way, I think we all, not even just physical therapy, but just in all professions, all jobs that are being listed out there, there just needs to be a little bit more transparency, a little bit more openness. Just both sides, just put your cards on the table. This is what I'm willing to pay you. This is the salary I'm willing to pay. This is the upside that I'm willing to pay if you treat more patients, whatever. Just more candid conversations. Let's find out what both sides want. And then I think you'll have better matches and more team members that stay longer.
All right, parting shot. If you haven't done it already, what are you waiting for? Go subscribe, go follow PT Breakfast Club, Dave Kittle Show, Learn Medicare Billing. We've been out here twice a week sharing ideas, sharing content. The least you could do is support the social media channels. You guys, we'll catch you on the next episode. Thanks, guys.
See ya.
Hey, it's Dave Kittle. Are you a healthcare business owner or physical therapy practice owner who is looking to figure out your succession plan or exit strategy? We might be able to help. And in fact, we may be interested in acquiring your practice. If you're interested, you can reach out to me. Shoot me an email at dave@conciergepainrelief.com. That's DAVE at CONCIERGE painrelief.com. Or you can call me at any time, 646-781-8884.